Creatine is the greatest performance supplement in the world. How do we educate the world on what this can do for them? And then how do we literally show them?
You are just shattering people's frames of what the preconceptions were.
Dude, I'm young, but the story I have that the old guy doesn't is I have nothing to lose.
We want to put men back in salesmen. Your family matters. Your finances matter. Your connection to God is paramount.
I have a story of my own and I can just own it. This is my story and I'm just going to share it and be me.
Life is a pitch. It's simply that. It is a pitch, and it is fun. Well, let's make sure that you're being sold what you want and you're selling what you actually want to sell. I really just love selling. It's the easiest thing on the planet if you believe in yourself. Let's buckle up. By the way, my name's JL. This is Sell Anything.
Okay, so Braven, dude, you wrote the book on creatine. I've heard you called the king of creatine. Tell us about that. The book of creatine. What do people not know about creatine that they need to know? And why are you so flipping good at selling it?
Well, creatine is the greatest, most research-proven ergogenic supplement in the world. And ergogenic basically just means performance.
I was going to say, what is ergogenic?
Yeah, right. It's the greatest performance supplement in the world. We call it the daily vitamin for performance. And it is unreal what it can do for people that nobody even knows about. Like we say, meatheads have been the only ones smart enough to take it. And
I like
it's
that,
kind of
dude.
funny, but the reality is like every person has so much to gain. Like literally the name of our company, like there's so much to gain from taking creatine that they don't even know about. So that's one part. How do we educate the world on what this can do for them?
Right.
And then how do we literally show them that it does that for them? Like, so this last year we did a campaign, we gave out $4 million worth of creatine just to say like, we want the world to experience this firsthand.
Right.
And so that we can kind of like break the stigmas, the myths, and really just give people the performance gains of creatine beyond the gym, way beyond the gym.
Wild. Okay. So say the word again. What is it called?
Ergogenic supplement.
Oh my gosh.
Performance supplement. Performance supplement works.
Ergogenic is good. No, I literally last week before we even had confirmed you were coming on, I had a mom text me and say, okay, tell me about creatine, because my son's taking creatine. We haven't jumped into your stuff yet, but I'm excited to try your stuff.
You're going to be converted.
Yeah, I'm pumped about it because it's so chalky, dude. Normal creatine is just like, oh, this is disgusting. But my son's been taking it for a while, and I've been taking it for a while. And she was like, so Tayson is my son. He's been taking it. We want Nick to start taking it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I actually am meeting with this dude. Yeah. It's called Instantized Creatine is what you'll see it online as, but it's gains in bulk. And she's like, oh, I'm so excited. So educate us, dude. Yeah. Just keep educating us on it. The $4 million thing, I want to hear about that.
Yeah. So I think when I'm talking to anyone about creatine, especially if they haven't heard a lot about it, like the first couple things I like to do is just say, here's why maybe you haven't wanted to take it, or here's maybe why if you have taken it, you haven't got the full benefit. Because there's kind of two camps. One person's like, I was always afraid to take it. I never took it because I was scared it was a steroid. I was scared it was this. I was scared it would make me bulky. I was scared. And so there's that camp, and then there's the camp that's like, I took it in the past, but it just kind of made me feel crappy, or I didn't love it, or I just didn't notice anything. Okay. So that group, first thing is, the number one thing people mess up with creatine is thinking it's a workout supplement. And not that it doesn't help you in your workouts, but what happens when you think it's a workout supplement is you take it like a workout supplement. Like, for example, pre-workout. When do you take pre-workout?
4 or 5 times a day. Just kidding. Right before my workout.
Right before you work out.
Yeah.
Right? And you might work out more than most people, but how often are normal people working out? 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So if you take creatine when you work out, you take it 2 to 3 times a week. And that's if you remember every time you work out.
Makes sense.
Or protein or aminos, or whatever you're taking with a workout, you take it when you work out, when you remember. So most people who say, I was taking creatine, they really, if they're being honest, took it 2, 3 times a week, maybe 1 time a week, maybe missed it. Yeah, it's been in the cupboard for weeks. And so the way creatine works, it's more like a daily vitamin. That's why we call it the daily vitamin for performance. If you take vitamin D 2 times a week, you're not going to get anything out of it. Like, you will notice zero difference. Okay. If you take vitamin D every single day and you have low vitamin D levels, you're going to notice that you have more energy, you feel better, your emotions are better. Like, there's all of this stuff, but it comes with the consistency. And so that's like the first thing I tell people is like, you got to move creatine from your workout supplement cupboard and put it on the little plate of stuff you take every single day, your daily vitamin, your fish oil, your whatever those things are for you. Okay. So taking it every day is crucial. And that's the first thing. So, but why is it crucial to take it every day? And that's like where you get into understanding like what is creatine actually doing? And I think what's like, I guess for you, what's the first thing you think of when you just hear creatine or?
Dude, honestly,
I'm just curious.
my first exposure to creatine was when I was in high school. All my buddies were like, "We're gonna take creatine."
Yeah.
And I was like, well, so like, and the only thing that I associated with it was water retention.
100%.
That's it, dude.
Yeah.
And for most of I've always been able to bulk pretty easily.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking outside, and he was like, "I'm on a cut," and I'm like, "Dude, I've always been on a cut," but I get like the bulk results.
Yeah. I love it.
And so I didn't ever want to take it because
Yeah.
I was like, dude,
I don't
my
need
buddies
extra
who wanted
water
to
and
take
stuff.
it, my buddies who wanted to take it were all just like skinny.
Yeah.
Now they don't want to take it because there's these misconceptions around it.
100%.
So yeah, that would be my first.
I think most people, right? Like I heard about it in high school in the weight room, my coach, but maybe my coach was concerned. In fact, I started selling creatine in 2015. And when we started in 2015, I was still in high school, my senior year of high school. And then I went to play college basketball, and my coach, this is like a legit like college basketball coach. I'm in college, and he sees one of my ads for creatine.
Yeah.
And he calls me in his office, and he's like, "Hey, I saw this. I just want to make sure that you're selling this, but that you're not taking it." And I was like,
Why
well,
would
one,
I
that would be
sell it?
really dumb.
Yeah.
But like, yes, I'm taking it, and why would that
Yeah.
matter? He's like, "No, you can't take creatine."
Okay.
And I was like, what do you mean I can't take
Why?
it? He's like, no,
Yeah.
it's like a band, so it's like a steroid. So I, had to educate my college coach, and this was in 2018, so it's like not that long ago, and just so much like there's so many misconceptions, right? So it's like my college basketball coach is literally
Right.
not wanting us to take creatine, and so and missing out on a huge benefit to all those athletes that they could have all been experiencing. So anyway, obviously continued to take creatine and informed him and gave him some research and showed him the banned substance list, and it's clearly not on it. And the
Right.
International Olympic Committee, actually, there's only 5 ingredients the International Olympic Committee supports athletes taking. They came out with an article and they said, hey, based on research, here's 5 things that actually work.
Okay.
And we kind of we condone these, right? Like we put our stamp on them.
Yeah.
That athletes can take these, they're safe. There's no concerns about them, and they're not because they know athletes are going to be doing all this fringe crazy stuff,
Right.
and then maybe getting tested positive. So they're like, there's 5 things that you can take, and these are all great, and they're proven for your performance, and creatine is one of those.
Okay.
So it's definitely not a steroid. It's definitely not like a banned substance. There's definitely nothing to worry about there. It's safe. But most people think of it like you did, of just build muscle, get jacked. But what creatine actually does, and at a scientific cell level, and I'll try and keep it simple where we can understand it. But do you know what ATP is? Have you heard that? Yeah, right. So ATP is the energy in the cell. It's the energy in your mitochondria. If you remember back in junior high biology, is ATP is the little energy guy inside the mitochondria.
Right.
All energy in the body is ATP.
Okay.
Every time we do anything, we're
Right.
using ATP. And what ATP stands for is adenosine triphosphate. The only thing you need to know about it is 3-phosphate, triphosphate.
Okay.
So it has 3 phosphates. When you use energy, it creates a little explosion,
Okay.
kind of like gasoline, right? And one of the phosphates breaks off. It you lose a phosphate, and that process of the 3 phosphates turning into 2 and breaking off creates energy. You experience it as energy.
Okay.
Well, what creatine does is creatine in the body will turn into creatine phosphate.
Okay.
And it's sitting in the cell, and when that phosphate process happens, you experience energy. Creatine just gives its phosphate to the now 2 phosphates, the diphosphate. So you had the 3, now it turned into 2, and creatine gives it 1 more, and now it has 3 again, and boom, you have another shot of energy.
Oh.
So you're literally
Okay.
getting an immediate hit of ATP, a replication of that ATP immediately, where typically your body has to go through a process with oxygen and with glycogen, with essentially carbs broken down, and
Right.
and all of these things. It has to do all this stuff to produce energy, but with creatine, it's just immediate.
Wild.
And
Okay.
so that's what it's doing, is just giving you
fascinating, man.
more energy.
Yeah.
And so of course, when you go to the gym, it's going to help you.
100%.
You're going to have more energy. And creatine really shines. Like, here's like one other thing that's important to know about how creatine works. Creatine works really well in moments of stress,
Okay.
fatigue, or when you're low oxygen.
Oh, so life.
So life.
Okay, cool.
Right?
Got it.
Also the gym, right? The gym is you're putting your body in intentional stress,
Right.
intentional fatigue. And when you're working out like anaerobically, anaerobic means essentially no oxygen. So,
Right.
Not like a long run, but like you lifting weights, it's going to work even better there. It works well in runs and things like that as well. But so lifting is like the perfect environment for creatine to give you more energy.
Makes sense.
And so that's why meatheads have been the only ones smart enough to take it because they love it.
Yeah.
But anywhere you're putting energy in, it's going to give you more energy. And it's
so
not
cool.
like caffeine or like this stimulant that's just going to come in and like for 3 hours just like jack you up.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's like a daily vitamin for performance. It's getting your cells saturated so it can give that lending of that phosphate and give you that immediate energy. And so that's what it does at a like cellular level. And then you can just extrapolate that to realize like, oh my gosh, well, where would that help me? Pretty much everywhere, because your body's using ATP to do everything.
Wild, dude. That is, I can feel your excitement. I can feel your passion.
Yeah.
You're clearly an expert on it.
Yeah.
You wrote the book
We
on
literally
it.
wrote the book.
we run in similar circles, and you were called the king of creatine. And I was like, I really like that. That makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah.
So let's pull off the pump cover just a little bit.
Yeah.
Now let's get into who Braven is.
Yeah.
So I did not know you were a college athlete.
Yeah.
I did. You look more like a football player than a basketball player.
Yeah.
So where you're from here in Arizona?
Yeah, I'm from a really small town called Pima, Arizona. It's like 2,500 people. I graduated with less than 50 kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And then where'd you go to college, if you don't mind me asking?
It's just it was a junior college called the Eastern Arizona College. I wasn't that good at basketball, but my dream was to play.
But you still played, dude.
Yeah.
To go play at the next level regardless you're still an athlete.
Yeah. It was fun. So.
Yeah, it is a ton of fun. And then I'm curious, so when you taught the coach, you're like, dude, this is what it actually is.
Yeah.
Did he have a paradigm shift?
He was an interesting guy. He kind of was more like, okay, like you can keep doing it, but he wasn't really sold on.
He didn't start.
Taking it. But I basically like backdoor just had everyone on creatine. All these athletes, and everyone started jumping higher, running faster, feeling better, and they were all just like jacked up on it, like they loved it. But we were kind of I was just like, hey, I'll just handle it. I was not going to wait for him to endorse it and tell the team to take it. So I just kind of gave the supply in the back end.
Okay. No, that makes sense to me, man. So I a lot of times I like to compare sales to athletics.
Yeah.
And it's just because we all work from our own frames of reference, right?
Yeah.
Like we all have filters that our mind runs things through. And if you've played sports, like sales is very much that. It's it's a sport of the reward is commission, not a trophy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it requires endurance, it requires energy, it requires a ton of just focus and perseverance and just like relentless.
100%.
You're putting yourself in a stressful situation, trying to break someone else's frame and get them to buy into what you're doing.
Yeah.
And clearly by what you've done with creatine is you're just shattering people's frames of what the preconceptions were.
Yeah.
And converting them over to believing your frame.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So how did it start? How did the idea of because you said in high school you started selling it.
Yeah.
So how did Gains start?
So Gains started, if you fell in love with fitness, I grew up in the fitness family. My mom is a Miss Olympia natural bodybuilder.
Get out of here.
Yeah. But
You're out of control,
yeah,
dude.
so she's crazy. My dad,
So your mom takes creatine.
Of course.
So
yeah.
mom should take creatine.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
There's arguments that maybe they should take it more than men. So,
Okay.
But, my mom was a bodybuilder, but like a figure competitor. So she's not like overly jacked,
Yeah.
just, like shapely, beautiful.
Yeah.
My dad was a world champion powerlifter and set a world record for most push-ups in a minute.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I was like 8 years old doing over 200 consecutive push-ups and like broke the like Boy Scout record of all
I
time.
love it, dude. Okay.
So, anyway, everyone always had, he did 126 push-ups in a minute. And then in Boy Scouts, I did 90 push-ups in a minute at 12 years old. So
Really?
yeah. So that was fun. And so I grew up in that world. My older brother was a state record holder, powerlifter. Like it's just, my dad was the nutritionist for the Phoenix Suns. He trains doctors around the world on like holistic health and just, I mean, it's just like, I literally was raised in it. I was in the locker room of the Phoenix Suns. Like Dan Marley's wife was our babysitter. Like, and you know, it's just,
Really?
this was like the world I was in.
So cool, dude.
And so when I started playing basketball in high school, though, for some reason I like rejected wanting to be into fitness. And so I was like, I'm just going to play basketball and I don't want to work out. Like, I don't want to lift. And you know, we also went through some crazy childhood things. Like, I won't get super into it, but my dad had really kind of got on top of the mountain and was like on Success Magazine and had a huge company. And then we kind of, my dad ended up like going to prison, and we had like just a really crazy ordeal, like between the time I was like 5 to 16.
Right.
And because of that, I think I kind of like pushed away from like who my family was.
Right.
So I didn't want to work out. I didn't want to lift. But then I got in high school, started playing basketball, and I was getting pushed around. Even I was like such a good player, I was so small.
Right.
And then I think it was my freshman year football combine. There's 95 pounds on the bench press, and it was like you had to bench as many times as you could. All my friends went, you know, they're getting whatever, 8, 10, 12. I have this jacked friend, his name's Johnny Bourne. He was like 20 at 12, you know? And
He's got a mustache.
Yeah, he did.
Here
yeah.
we go. Yeah.
And he put like 25 up, and then I go and just I get the bar off, and it just crushes me.
Right.
And I remember everyone, you know, the seniors and like all my buddies and the coaches even are literally laughing.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. Like, it was probably funny. Like, I just got crushed by this 95-pound thing.
Yeah. This is 90 push-up boy, and he can't like.
Yeah, I could do a million push-ups, but it
Yeah.
was just I never lifted really. I was like kind of like, no, like I don't want to do that. So they all laughed at me, and I just decided, I was like, no, that's never happening again. And I
Right.
got super into lifting. I kind of like was like, Dad, I had like the greatest guy in the world to teach me, and so I finally like humbled myself. I was like, Dad, can you help me? And
Right.
you know, I put on I think like 36 pounds in the next like 14 weeks. It was crazy.
That's
we went
awesome.
like max out. Everyone thought I was on steroids and stuff as like a 14-year-old. But that got me into fitness.
Yeah.
And I got so into fitness, my dad decided to take us to the Olympia Expo, the non-natural Olympia.
Like in Vegas?
That's in Vegas.
Okay.
And I think I'm like 14, 15 at that time. And I'm thinking like, dude, we're going to go. I'm going to meet the best of the best. I'm going to see the best of the best, like innovation and products and athletes. Right. And so I thought I was going to that. And when I got there, I was just so disappointed because you had these athletes who were standing at booths that I all of a sudden realized weren't taking the products they were pushing.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
They weren't really about it. It was actually when I first like learned that steroids were kind of a necessity in that world. Like that no one wasn't taking steroids. I kind of still had the idea of maybe some of them are natural. And
They just eat a lot of steak.
Yeah. None of them were natural. We're starting to get samples, and all the samples are just full of garbage.
Yeah.
And I knew enough, like just from my childhood, like this stuff's all trash. So I was like super disappointed. And I remember just thinking like, everything I learned from my dad and the holistic background he is in and everything, I'm like, why don't we do something in this world? Like they need what we have in this world. Like they need the holistic wellness side of things in this very synthetic, kind of badass world, but it's just kind of full of trash.
Right.
So that was like the original spark of the idea.
14.
Yeah, at 14.
Okay.
2 years later, I meet a guy who invented the process for instantized creatine.
Okay.
Super lucky happenstance-ish meeting where I ran into him at a...
Never luck, dude.
Yeah.
Never luck.
It was God, really.
Yeah.
But I met him, and I was so interested in it, and no one else, for some reason, that he showed was interested.
Yeah.
He didn't really speak very good English, from Mongolia. And anyway, I was like, dude, this is so cool. Can I try and sell this stuff? And
14.
This time this is in late 2015. So I think I'm just turned 16 at that time.
This is a great story, man.
Yeah,
Keep going. Okay, keep going.
So we basically convinced him to let us have exclusivity for just a short period to see if we could sell it.
Okay.
My dad helped me kind of start an LLC, all that. We go to Arnold Classic 2016.
That one's in Ohio.
In Ohio.
Okay,
Drive across the country, me and some buddies, and like 17 at the time, like crazy whole journey, even just to get out there, like this crappy trailer and
Yeah,
the
dude.
axle brake, this whole thing. But anyway, you get there and we had 1,000 bags.
Yeah.
And I just demoed every person that walked by our booth. I just show them creatine versus
we got
theirs.
a teenage kid out there just being like, yo, Jay Cutler, come here, dude. Yo.
Yeah, exactly. It's just everyone just like trying to show
Wild,
them
dude.
this product. And we sold 1,000 bags. We sold, well,
all of them.
They were actually on our way home. We found 20 bags in this box and I was so upset. But we basically sold that. We sold out everything that we found this. But we sold essentially 1,000 bags that weekend. And I was like driving home 32 hours back to Arizona and like,
jeez,
dude, I think this is like,
this is it.
This is it. This is really cool. So that was in 2016. And for the next 4 years, we didn't really know what the hell we were doing and kept trying to go to expos. And every bag of creatine basically got sold one-to-one by me or like, you know, one of my,
One of your
close
guys.
friends or family that was with us.
Yeah.
And I did that demo probably 5,000 plus times at least.
Belly to belly, dude.
Yeah, maybe more. I don't know. Tons and tons and tons of times. And we kind of got to where we were like doing a little bit of revenue. No one was really getting paid.
Right.
And that's when I kind of got introduced to like online marketing and stuff. And we kind of made this transition of like, hey, I can do this demo in front of one person at an event, or I can do this demo in front of a camera and we can put it out to the world and hit the masses.
Right.
And luckily, like I just knew how to sell it because I had sold it so many times that when we put a camera on it and
this makes
demo,
me happy, man.
It worked. Yeah.
Dude, and you're good looking. So like it helps when that's that part of it, right?
Yeah. God bless me.
So here's one of the coolest things about this entire thing is I'm listening. So I've got 7 kids. I've mentioned that on the podcast before, but 3 of them are teenage boys.
Yeah.
And so a lot of their buddies they all play football or they play basketball. They're all little athletes. So a lot of their buddies watch the podcast. Like when I get like notifications of people liking the reels, I'm like, oh, cool. That's one of my,
that's great.
That's just a little guy.
Yeah.
So the cool thing with that is they're hearing this and they're seeing you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they've probably seen your ads.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works.
Yeah. Hopefully everyone has.
Right? So they've seen their ads and the success story is so cool, man. Like I love it.
Thank you.
Because it's going to inspire someone. Someone's going to get a spark and be like, oh, dude, if Braven can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And that's the whole goal of this. So if you had to talk to 14-year-old you who gets crushed by a bar and then all of a sudden is like, I'm getting jacked to I'm going to Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
Then I'm going out to the Arnold Classic. And now 10 years later, I've got this business and I'm crushing it.
Yeah.
What would you say to him?
I kind of got emotional when you asked me that question. I don't know why, just thinking about that little kid version of me.
Yeah.
And I still feel like a little kid most of the time, but
Yeah.
I think for a long time I struggled that I was young.
Yeah.
So I'd be around guys like you.
Wait. I'm young.
You're young too. I mean, even that are 35 though, or 40, or I would go into a boardroom with someone who's 55 and got a huge company. I just would think like, I'm a 20-year-old kid. Like they're not going to, why would they listen to me?
Right.
And what I found out that I would have told myself sooner was that all marketing is how you tell the story.
Okay.
And the story that we get to tell being a young guy is an amazing story that the old guy doesn't get to tell. He has his own story and he gets to tell that one. Like, I've been in the game for so long and da-da-da-da-da-da. But I realized like, dude, I'm young. And so not everyone's going to like me. Not everyone's going to listen to me. But the story I have that the old guy doesn't is I have nothing to lose. I will only go all out, all in. I'm going to try and build $1 billion brand. Like, there's nothing stopping me. I don't have like to put my retirement account and make sure I'm safe. And I don't have to make sure that I'm banking certain amount of money every month to like survive like the 50-year-old guy. Like, so maybe I'm more risky. Maybe I'm not as safe, but there's guys that want that investment. Just like there's guys, sometimes you want the safe, nice investment of this guy. Hey, this guy, he needs to make money, so he's going to make sure the company just kind of putts along and doesn't die.
Yeah.
But like this kid,
he's going all in, dude.
we're gonna support him because he might take this thing where he says,
Yeah.
and so it might be riskier, but like, right. So I just learned that like I have a story of my own,
Right.
and I can just own it. Like, yeah, I'm the young guy. Yeah, I'm energized though. Like when I come into the boardroom and the guy's 55, it's like he's low energy, I'm high energy. So guess what? He kind of likes hanging out with the young guy because I make him feel younger. So it's just, I wish I would have realized that sooner, that like I had a superpower that I wasn't even aware of, and people wanted to help me, especially when I'm like 20.
Right.
Like,
Right.
they wanted to help me because I was young. Because like I was some version of them that they remembered from when they were young. They're like, man, I wish someone would have helped me.
Right.
So that's what I wish I would have just accepted sooner. It was just like, stop apologizing for my age, stop worrying about it, and just be like, hey, some people are going to want to work for me, some people won't, but just like, this is my story and I'm just going to share it and be me.
Yeah.
And I think that was a huge unlock for me once I kind of really, really accepted that and stopped apologizing for it.
Dude, that actually, there's some similarities here. So,
Yeah.
on a previous episode, we had John Manson. I think I told you he came on the show. Same story, dude. Like, meaning, when I say same story, just the bar crushed him. 95 pounds crushed him.
Yeah.
And that's where he flipped and he's like, I'm figuring this out.
Yeah.
And then he actually said when Supra, his little company, that they'll do over 50 mil this year.
Awesome.
Right? He, exact same thing you just said. He's like, I just became unapologetic. Like, this is who I am. This is what I do. Like, take it or don't take it, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like a common thread with everybody.
Yeah.
That really succeeds at a high level is they just authentically own who they are.
Yeah.
And then they like run at it.
Yeah. Can I say something to that?
Yeah.
So one thing too, I would hope if someone young is listening, is I remember hearing that advice that you just gave of just be unapologetically yourself.
Yeah.
And when you're young, like you just like, sorry to swear, but just like you don't know who the you are. like still right now, like who am I? Like,
dude, I'm in my 40s and there's moments that I'm like, what
like
is
this
happening?
Ethereal question of just be yourself, and then you're like, who am I?
Yeah.
It's just, who are you now? And I think once I gave myself the permission to say, I might change my mind tomorrow. I might change my mind today.
Right.
Like by the end of this episode, you might change my mind about some things. You probably will.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I'm still going to say who I am right now, and I'm just going to own that, and I'm not going to be afraid to change it tomorrow. And I think being young and trying to figure out who am I felt like it had to be this concrete, God was going to come in and tell me, Braven, you are these 5 things.
Yeah.
And it was like, what I've just realized is like, right now I'm the young, kind of reckless, crazy kid, and I'll be 50 someday, and I'll probably be the little bit tired, I've been through the thing, and I'm just settling in, and I got to the kids, and we're all just like, I might be that guy there, but I'm still this guy today, and I'm just owning it. And so I wish someone would have kind of told me that like, be who you are doesn't mean be this thing that you figured out. It just means tell the truth about where you're at right now and just own it, and you can change it. You can change it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
powerful, dude. I 100% agree, because you're right. Things change so drastically. Yeah. And earlier you had mentioned, hey, dude, it was God. God introduced me to the guy from Mongolia.
Yeah, 100%.
And for some reason it clicked in my head. I firmly believe that if we are open to what God is trying to tell us by just telling the truth, because we've both heard this, where God is, truth is, right?
Yep.
And where that exists, where the truth is, like, this may have been true yesterday.
Yeah.
Because that's all I knew. That's all that my radar would allow me to pick up on.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden I was exposed to a little bit more information, a little bit more truth, a little bit more insight, vision, excitement. And all of a sudden it's like, well, the game just changed.
Yep.
And as long as it's progression, and as long as it is moving in the direction that makes the world a better place, then that's a good thing, because that's God's end game, right? Is let's just make it better.
Amen.
So, dude, I love that. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Super powerful. Now, $1 billion brand, you said that.
Yeah.
Is that the goal?
Yeah. I mean, I want the company to be a household brand. I think when I was a kid, like, I would walk into people's homes.
Right.
And my dad was, like I said, like a nutritionist, would train health professionals all over the world. So he had kind of these holistic supplements. And I remember I would walk in their homes and they would have like a bag of gold standard protein on their fridge, or like these supplements on their counter that I could tell like the people thought were really healthy products. Mm-hmm. Like they were healthy people, or like trying to be.
Right.
And then I knew what was in those products, and it would like infuriate me as this kid, like just like
that's crap.
yeah, that's crap. And like,
Yeah.
you know, I was like arrogant, so I would tell them it was crap, you know? And then they're like, who's this 12-year-old kid telling me going through my supplement cupboard?
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was super annoying. But that fire like is just still inside me of like, I want to walk in people's homes, and even if they don't know the product's natural and great and good for them and has nothing bad for them and is like serving them at the highest level, they still have my product there.
Yeah.
And that's like, you know, I would always think, man, I just wish I could like swap out this for ours, and like they don't even have to know about it. It's just going to be better for them.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. And so, you know, we've done a good job getting the company to this point.
Right.
Direct to consumer, you know, we're one of the fastest growing companies in America 3 years in a row, which is hard to do, like on top of growth rate, on top of growth rate, on top of growth rate. But, you know, the next place that we're going is like, how do we get distribution to the whole like entire US, like where every home is at least considering taking creatine, and maybe not even my creatine, but like that everyone gets that and wants it and is using it.
Right.
Like how do we turn creatine into vitamin D? Because I believe it would help the world as much, if not more. And so that's really where we're going. And yeah, like I don't know how long it'll take to get there, but we'll get there.
You may find it's faster than you think.
Yeah.
Dude.
God seems to do that sometimes.
He does. He's definitely in the equation. Funny thing, so when you first came in, Brady and I were talking about the event we were in Utah.
Yeah.
There's some connections that I think we can introduce you to, because that's literally what they do. They just get into distribution hubs and they just take a brand like Skull Candy or like Stance Socks and it becomes household.
Yep.
Like, yeah, we'll have to make some introductions.
Absolutely.
Dude.
And that's why, I mean, that's why I just like tell everyone the vision, because like you never know when someone knows someone who knows someone or whatever, and it's just like they can support your vision. So,
dude, it's powerful, man. It really is, and it all comes down to that idea of, if I'm willing to tell the truth, then the people that can help me move that truth forward, they'll come out of the woodworks, and then 100%. We're moving faster.
Yep.
So, okay, so a little bit deeper though. How many kids are in your family? Like growing up, how many did you have?
I have 2 older brothers and a little sister.
Okay, so there's 4 of you.
4 of us, yeah.
Okay, cool. And now you've got kids of your own.
Yeah, I have 2 little boys, Heber and Rocky. Our oldest is about to turn 4, and then we got like a 14-month-old.
So cool, dude.
They're awesome.
Heber and Rocky.
Heber and Rocky.
Those are tough names, dude.
Yeah,
it reminds like of mountains.
Yeah. They're kind of family names, and so my name is a family name. Braven. My dad wanted to name me Braveheart.
Okay.
And,
and your
my mom's like, absolutely not. So she came up with Braven, and then my middle name is after my grandpa, who was a prisoner of war in World War II, escaped prisoner of war, amazing story.
Okay.
So I've always felt so connected to my name. I know this is so like off the wall random, but it served me to like feel like my name meant something.
Right.
So I wanted to give that to my kids, that like their ancestral names, they mean something, like they're connected to stories I can tell them, myths, legends of these men that, you know, fought for a better world.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I asked those questions on purpose to basically solicit more of the story.
Yeah.
Because you had said earlier, hey, I'm going to tell my story regardless of my age, regardless where I'm at now. My story is what sells.
Yeah.
And this is sell anything, right? And so people who can really own their story and understand their story, understand what the future chapters of the story are, and can clearly paint that vision for people. Yeah. That's when it gets really exciting, dude.
For sure.
Super exciting. So more kids, you think, down the road?
We're debating. We're debating one. We were like, I was always like a 4 or 5 guy, and then we had 1, and I was like, okay, a 3 or 4 guy, and then we had 2, and I'm like, I think I'm a 2 or 3 guy. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, we're up in the air on a 3rd right now. But we're just like, I really want to give my kids like everything, not as in like buy them everything, but I want to give them the greatest opportunities. I want them to be taught and focused on, and I really look up to families who have figured out how to not just have a rich dad, but who have been able to somehow develop like this commitment to the family, where a son doesn't feel like he has to reject his father and like go off and do his own thing, but rather feels like there's this bigger thing to our family and to our name where I'm actually going to support it. Like if you look at the Trump family,
Right.
amazing job. Like his sons are so committed to the Trump cause. Like they don't view it like the Donald Trump cause. They view it like the Trump cause.
Yeah.
And there's other families too. Like I see Grant Cardone, that he's really good at that.
Crushing it with that.
Yeah.
His daughters are just like, they're in. That's the Cardone world, dude.
Yeah. And they're not like, oh, like everyone's going to judge me and think that like I had nepotism. Like, so I'm really, really invested in figuring that out.
Okay.
Because I feel like my dad gave me that because he's just like an amazing man. But I don't know that it was so intentional. And I'm like, man, if I can kind of add to that and be super intentional with it, like where could my sons or my daughter, if I have a daughter at some point, sons and kids go with like a platform that they get to jump off of that's starting from wherever we start, you know?
Yeah,
So,
dude, I love that. And just so speaking from my own story, I will say this as a plug to daughters.
yeah,
It's a different game, dude.
I'm sure.
My first two were boys.
Yeah.
And then, no, that's not true because now my third son, he was also a boy. He will be mad that I thought he was a daughter. My first three were boys. And then we had our daughter. And, dude, a dad-daughter dad is a different game.
Yeah.
Like, so if you can creep one out, dude.
Yeah, I always didn't want a daughter just out of like sheer, like I watched my dad, have to give my little sister away like in marriage, right? And I watched that and I was like, I never want to do that. That looked gut-wrenching.
I can only imagine.
But I also kind of lately have been like, man, it would probably soften me up and it would probably help me grow in ways that I couldn't otherwise, I'm sure.
1,000%.
So
It changes the game a ton. Well, dude, I have loved every ounce of this. The story is awesome. The fire is awesome. The future story of building something incredible that your family can be a part of and buy into is incredible. When we first talked and you're like, okay, well, what is this podcast? What's the idea behind it?
Yeah.
And I've actually never laid it out there on so directly as I did to you on the podcast. So I'll just do it now, but because it goes hand in hand with what you were saying. The idea behind all of this is, as mentioned earlier in the podcast, we got teenage people listening to this that are going through high school. And then we've got the demographics according to the data. We've got dudes up into their 50s listening to this. We want to put men back in salesmen.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like your family matters.
Yeah.
Your fitness matters. Your finances matter.
Yeah.
Like all of those things matter. Your connection to God is paramount.
Absolutely.
Like they all matter. And for some reason, those 4 domains just get overlooked and we just get so hyper-focused on one at a time that then the others suffer and the others struggle, right? And so the fact that you're so young in the game and you already see that like, oh, dude, I got to keep God in the equation.
Yeah.
My wife, my kids, they're like there. They got to be there.
Yeah.
Clearly you're jacked, so your fitness is important to you.
Yeah.
And if you're already growing year after year that you're in the top 3 fastest growing companies in the U.S., your money's there too. Like all of those things are there. And I think it's so powerful. So is there anything that I didn't ask that I should have that you could share that would be another nugget to help move that idea forward?
One thing I would love to say or to share, because I just would love to share it every time I get the chance, is that, God is the ultimate provider.
Yeah.
I had this experience recently. I have an affirmation track I listen to in the morning. And in the affirmation track, it used to say, I have $100 million in liquid assets, so like cash or liquid investments. And this has provided a life of freedom, peace, and purpose to the Grant family. And I would listen to it every single morning. And at some point, I started hearing that line and getting this little feeling of just like, something's not right about that line. And I was listening to it a couple weeks went by, and I just kind of got to the point where I was like, dude, I can't hear this line anymore for some reason. It just makes me want to throw up. So I listened to it that morning, and I went and I started praying with God. And I'm like, God, why am I feeling all kinds of weird about this?
Right.
Like, I don't think it's a bad goal. Like, do you not want me to make money? Like, why am I feeling this way? And he said, you see, I let you listen to that for a while, but you need to understand something you didn't understand before, which is that you won't have freedom and peace because of $100 million. You'll have freedom and peace if you realize that I'm your provider. So I went back and I re-recorded my audio, and now it says, I have financial freedom and peace now because God is my provider.
I love it.
And he has provided a life of freedom, peace, and purpose to the Grant family.
Yeah.
And that shift, like it really has changed like everything for me
Awesome.
of why do I want financial freedom? Why am I doing what I'm doing? That I don't have fear and scarcity. I'm like, dude, we could lose everything tomorrow. It's okay. God's my provider.
Right.
He's going to take us to wherever he wants to take us. If it's $1 billion, cool. If it's
Yeah.
900 million, cool. If it's 10 billion or 100 billion, like wherever his place is, he's my provider. I don't need to stress and worry about it. I just got to go get to work and know that like I'm in the rooms I'm in because of him. I'm with the people I'm with because of him.
Right.
Like, and that shifted even my view of myself and my age. Like I'm not a 27-year-old kid. Like I'm on a calling from God. Like I'm in this room on this podcast because God put me here. Like I'm his son and he has a calling for me, and I just show up.
Yeah.
I don't have to stress about it.
Yeah.
And I think that if you can get that frame on God, it'll transfer across to not just money, but every area of life.
Absolutely.
That he is the provider, the protector, the promoter, the prosperer. Like he is the Prince of Peace. Like he's all of those things.
Right.
And we don't get them from anywhere in the world. And when we do, like my affirmation thought I would get it in 100 million in liquid assets.
Yeah.
He reminded me that I would get it only in him and that I could have it now, even though I don't quite have the 100 million in liquid assets. So yeah.
Dude, I'm so glad you shared that. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like he is the Prince of Peace, man.
Yeah.
And that is where the prosperity comes from.
Amen.
So thank you for sharing that, dude. Thank you so much. I really, again, I appreciate you coming on. This has been awesome, and I am confident it will hit someone right in the heart, and they will take a step in the direction that they have been pressed and feeling that they need to go because of you being willing to step up and say your stuff.
Thank
So
you.
thank you,
for
dude.
having me on.
Thanks for coming on.